Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. He makes me pick up the phone. He makes me stare at the screen. So glad to have you with us. It is Thursday. I almost said Wednesday because that's the old date, but we're doing Thursdays now, live at 10 p.m. every Thursday. Tim and I are going to get together, do some, get into some news and current events and all that kind of stuff. Glad to have you join us. Jump in that chat. Let us know what you think about some of these topics, or email us at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. Give us a like on the video and share it, and make sure everybody you know is subscribed to the channel, especially here locally in the Tri-Cities. And we got viewers from all over the country and around the world. We're glad to have you. But we'd love to have you some more local folks here, and we're going to talk some particularly local stories tonight. So hopefully some of y'all will still find that pretty interesting. But I'm Cliff. I'm joined by Tim. How's it going, Tim?
Uh, Somewhere between good and bad. I don't really have a.
Gotcha.
There you go. Just somewhere in there.
I'm also joined off screen by my dog Stock, but he's being shy. He's just laying his muzzle on the chair here where Tim usually sits. So he's probably having sweet dreams about chewing you alive, you know. Kind of like your sweet upstairs Dotson. That guy wanted to get me, Tim.
He's the devil. He's bitten 100% of the people that have stepped in that living room.
He got mad because he couldn't get me. I went to the bathroom, and he was right there at the gate, and he got mad. He jumped up and turned a circle. He was so mad, just jumped and spun around.
And you're lucky he didn't start like actually ripping his teeth out and throwing them at you just so he could get them to pierce your skin.
I think
It's just not a good dog. It's just one of those arrangements where we got him from the pound, and he just, despite all the good treatment, we just cannot get him into a state where he's ever good with anybody.
yeah.
Now we just have a hellhound that has a little safe, like he has a couch that he stays on.
This guy right here.
As long as you don't go near that couch, there's peace in the valley. But that's the rules. I don't have the heart to put him down, but he's never going to get along with anybody.
Yeah. Stocky's kind of the same way. He can get along with people after he gets to know them a bunch of times, but even people like he sees over and over again, like my brother and the drummer in my band, people that are over at my house a lot, like he'll raise hell on them for a while as soon as he sees them, and play this game where you have to pet me. Oh, now I'm going to bark at you again, and runs away. But people he doesn't know, especially my neighbors' kids who've thrown sticks and stuff at him when he's out in the backyard. He was always nice until that one kid started throwing stuff at him. I left him tied out with my daughter and her friend. They were playing in the front yard, and I left him tied out there with them. And I looked over there, and the kid started throwing stuff at him. And I've not been able to. He doesn't trust people since then. He was pretty young at the time, I guess. But what would we do without him? What's that?
You ever thought about going over there and just randomly throwing sticks at that kid?
Yeah, I have. Thought about doing a lot of random things to my unruly neighbors. Yeah, they gosh, that's a whole other story I'm not going to get into tonight. But yeah, they I don't know what we'd do without our dogs. I was thinking earlier, I rented for a while, and I had a dog-free household for some number of years, and I don't know how I did without dogs, man. I got started having dogs again about 10 years ago, and they've always been the best companions for a lot of reasons, but for me, but a lot of people like cats. I like some cats. Some cats I don't get along with. It takes a certain cat for me to get along with it.
Yeah, I think it's the same way with dogs and cats.
Yeah,
I like them both.
Yeah, I'm more particular about cats. Pretty much. I'm pretty much an equal opportunity dog lover. There's very rarely a dog that I don't like. Occasionally there is, but in my job I run into a lot of them, and I usually get along really well with them. And people are often surprised. Oh, he doesn't like anybody. So what you don't notice, I have treats in my pocket. What's up, Joe? Joe's gassing the geese up in Johnson City. Glad to have you with us, brother. got some local stories to get into tonight, so let's go ahead and ring that bell because it can't be unrung. So let's ring it.
You need to change the logo from the Tennessee Star thing to hey, jeez, guys, quit. Like one of the old-fashioned bug spray things that you'd see on like Looney Tunes. It looks like a big can, like has
Yeah.
like the gas coming out of it, like the honka can.
Yeah.
Have one of those canisters with like a silhouette of a gas thing coming out and like geese falling out of the sky or something.
I think I'll have AI make me a version of that. We could probably do that real quick. You want to do that before we get into the local story? Stock, buddy, I'm trying to type here, and you're bumping my elbow. He's nuzzling my elbow every about 2-3 seconds, wanting pettings.
Good. It just makes it more challenging for you then.
Yep.
Become a better typer.
Yeah, that definitely will help. The shovel-faced cattle pug, that's what we call him. Because he's always shoveling for love with his face. And dirt. He had to take him into the doctor. I don't remember if I told you this or not, but had to take him to the vet. He had terrible stomach aches and had diarrhea. It turned out he had hookworms, but he was eating worms out of their yard, like slurping worms, digging one down and slurping them up like spaghetti.
And they were just laying eggs in him.
I don't know if that's how that works, but somehow he got worms really bad and was in pain and like, oh shit.
I think that is how that works. Like,
yeah.
If he's just slurping down worms, yeah, because like, there's kinds of worms I'm not up to date on. But despite being the bug kid, I'm not up to a lot of the worm information. There's certain kinds of bug or certain kinds of worm infections that you get just by not washing your hands and getting like the worm eggs from the dirt in your stomach. I just don't know which one it is. So I would think if the eggs are already in the dirt, then eating the actual worm whole would give it an opportunity to lay quite a few eggs,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a gross topic, but like I don't know if anybody listening has ever seen what it looks like when a dog gets a real bad case of the worms. It's so nasty. They sit there, they go take a dump, and there's worms come out of their ass.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't look like that. He had hooks. I don't know what the different kinds of them are, but okay, let me show you the first picture here. Let's see. Let me find this. Here we go. Oops, that's not the right one. Here we go. Is that big enough to see?
I'll make it work. Get my big forehead up in the camera.
Here, let's do this. Whoops. This way you'll be able to see for sure. Yeah. Nope, that's not what we want. Here's what we want.
Are the geese gassing the geese?
Yes. This goose has some kind of pipe affixed to his head and is gassing the geese.
Something David Lynch would come up with.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something you'd see in one of the back rooms.
Yeah, or that big smoke creature on season 2 of Twin Peaks. The machine teacup thing. It used to be a dude or something. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, season 3. Yeah.
Is it 3?
Yeah, the one that came out way later on Showtime or whatever.
Yeah, it was like 20 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, that I need to watch that again because it was really good, but I honestly don't remember a lot about it. It hit into a lot of real like weirdo kind of stuff that I love, but I think it was 10 episodes and 11, 12 hours.
There's a giant video series you could watch that goes into the
I've watched some of it.
The film theory behind Twin Peaks and stuff,
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Well, without ruining anything of it, it makes a whole lot more sense just when you introduce the idea that the entire point of Twin Peaks is supposed to be that the characters are subtly self-aware that it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I kind of had that idea.
No, I feel like that from I feel like that from the original two series that would be the case. I don't know about the third that I really picked up on that there, if that's the case with it.
Well, if you look at the actual, by the time it gets to the third, but I don't want to kill anybody if they're actually planning on watching it. But like, so
It's like
pause the
5 years
video.
old now, so
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, like that's the
yeah,
way media works. I wouldn't want to have it ruined.
yeah, that's true.
But the idea of it is, if you watch it, like the newer one, the one that's like 20 years later or whatever, it has all those weird creatures that are like black coal creatures or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
all the smoke coming out of the radio stations and all that stuff.
That
A
started
big
from the
part of,
atomic bomb.
yeah, a big part of David Lynch's, and you can find rants about this, and you can find a lot of film theory showing that this is the case. He wanted to make sure when the girl died in the first season, he wanted to, because he said that the start thing that he saw was if people could go to TV or the movie
He didn't want
theater.
it to be solved.
Well, not that he wanted, yeah, that too. But he said that, like, like even like episode of Columbo or something like that, someone would die, and then after 45 minutes or an hour or whatever, that person's death was, no longer even mattered in the universe anymore. It didn't matter at all anymore.
Everything
And
was
he said
completely
in
back to normal.
reality, when somebody dies, like the entire world permanently changes, And
Yeah.
he said he wanted to have a show where someone died, and then that is the entire premise of the show. That the entire premise of the show is sometimes people die, and it vastly changes everything. Rather than wrapping it up in one episode, let's
Yeah.
make the entire series about just what happens. Not even about finding her, just about what happens to the lives of people when one person's removed
Yeah.
or whatever. Of course, then
Unibluffers
shit
in the
gets
chat.
real weird. The show
Unibluffers in
gets
the.
real weird beyond that, but
But it's a really good show. I definitely recommend it if you like weird stuff. Unibluffers in the chat says, "Greetings, Earthling. What's up, brother? Glad to have you with us." Yeah, I definitely I appreciated that. And if you watch the third season, you can see the. I mean, it's not like this is really a spoiler, but there's a part where a kid is, walking across the road, a real little kid, and this other guy's like drunk and high or whatever, and he's frustrated waiting behind a line of cars. He doesn't know the school bus is why the line of cars is stopped, and he just floors it through there and runs over this little kid, and like everything stops, and the mother's grief in that scene is so real. But there's this old man, he just kind of walks up, and he's the only one looking and seeing this, but he sees like the little kid's spirit float away, and he walks up and just kind of holds the mother, and it's like that kind of embodies just what you were talking about there a lot in that scene. I don't know if you remember that particular scene, but let's get into the local news and current events here. We've got so Tim, we'll just run through this one real quick, but we got a local actually I probably don't have you on the screen, so let me fix that here.
I can be a ghost. I don't mind being the disembodied voice.
There we go. Well, we've got this story tonight from WJHL. Piney Flats Food City Manager wins international award. Tim, just think that could be you, man. If you had,
What is it?
the produce manager from the Piney Flats Food City won an international produce award. That could have been you.
That would be me. That would be me.
Do you ever, just reminisce upon the days and think what could have been? Could have been internationally recognized produce manager.
No. I do have like looking back on days and think what could have been if I had chosen different professions, but it's never been what would it be like if I'd stayed in grocery.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I had a good time working in grocery. I worked years in grocery stores.
I don't mind vegetables. I like plants quite a bit. I like, I actually don't even mind, manual labor. Working night stock wasn't that big of a deal in my younger 20s when my body could handle it. But there's no purpose behind it, Like, well, let's take like pest control, for example. That's like an end to a means where if that doesn't happen, like it gets noticed, like there's noticeable differences when termites don't get sprayed. But man, it was such a demeaning thing when like you get the, this is geeky, but like you get the store looking perfect at night, right? And then you just watch everything get demolished. So it's ultimately just the fruit's job. So I mean, I know that sounds.
No, I get it. Unibluffer says he's trying to win enough playing poker to stop the Illuminati like a crazy person. Hey, that's a good way to do it. If you could play their own game against them,
Go
That's it.
for it. If you can do the poker run, that's cool.
Oh yeah, he's a good one.
Train Dragon, right? Like
I,
a
I,
Casino
I've
Royale version.
Yeah, there you go. He could be taking on Lashiv or whatever his name is. You could win the day against Spectre and all those bad guys there. But definitely does. It's hard to do without money in your pocket or some means to make a way towards that end. So definitely everything, all the good guys with money on our side that we can have, then we're better off. So this first story, that one I was just kind of fooling around with because it was kind of neat that the guy, got an international award and everything. But we're kind of I was kind of jostling with Tim a little bit because I know he's does not miss working grocery.
I was a good employee. I just have a mouth, and I'm not good with authority.
Well, this goes
Great
into WJHL. They are doing this story from them. They're doing renderings for a Nashville Motor Speedway. So they're going to make a NASCAR Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. They're releasing the renderings of this, which are honestly, leave a little be desired. Pretty low quality graphic arts there, I would think, kind of, but it looks like every other speedway I've ever seen. But the reason I bring this up is because they're basically modernizing this speedway, bringing it up to use for NASCAR. It's going to be more kind of this tourism, Music City, casino. I know the casino's in Bristol, but just all this kind of modernization of Tennessee. They're making big changes in Tennessee, and of course Nashville's always been growing and stuff. But they're talking about doing high speed rail. I think down to Knoxville. A lot of this stuff all coming together as we talked about for this place to be a hub. And I don't know if you want to call them the Illuminati, but whoever is pushing this agenda forward in this region, there's a larger agenda going on in the region that is moving forward. I think it's more part of it. You got to have breads and circuses, but a large part of it is growth too, and particularly in the Tri-Cities area. I think we'll continue to see a lot of growth and a lot more of the stuff like license plate reading cameras, smart poles, and smart infrastructure, all the kind of stuff they say they're putting in to modernize the city, but actually it ends up being more of a control grid that people 20 years ago would have thought was a nightmarish future, the amount of cameras and surveillance that we have on us now. But we've grown so accustomed to it, it doesn't really seem to bother us that much anymore. But let's see, what else do we got here? Okay, so wanted to show you a tweet from. Wait a minute, let's do this. I'm going to show you a couple things and then I'll get back into the local because the last two local stories I want to do are a little bit more serious. So I want to continue to look a little bit. It's pretty bad that I guess that I'm saying this is lighthearted, but this is Kamala Harris saying what she really means, unlike so many times when the truth isn't said.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
More of our children can, not your children, because your children are going to be the population we reduce. But isn't that great for all of us in this room? Yeah. So, it's fun when they actually say what they mean. And it's so rare because they spend so much time trying not to say what they mean. So, I got this here coming from Michael Guimarin on Twitter. I'm honestly not sure who this guy is really beyond his Twitter bio. Who is, he seems like a pretty, like a pretty standard, like health and nutrition kind of guy. And he's more into diet and healthy lifestyles and stuff. He's out of Los Gatos, California, or the Cats, California. But he suddenly tweets this. He says, Operation Bluebeam Aliens is a go. And so what does he mean by that? Let's continue. He says the largest disinformation campaign in human history is beginning. Over the next few months, the governments of the world are going to reveal that for hundreds of years they have had access to alien technology, that previous governments allowed this technology to be guarded and studied in secret by government labs and third-party contractors. So he says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's really long, but basically he says the companies are no longer, that the third-party contractors, you know, your weapons manufacturers, stuff like that, he says they are no longer going to be able to have access to this alien technology, and the government is going to reconfiscate this technology and ban all non-approved research. Well, I don't understand how that would work exactly, but let's keep going, because there's some stuff I wanted to look at here. He says they will enact a level of, now just to real quick, Project Bluebeam is the purported, and I've never actually seen any actual like government documents, like a lot of these crazy programs. There are government documents that you can look at. I've never seen any on this. I've heard a lot of people talk about Project Bluebeam, and I think there was one former military person who this term originated from, and I don't remember exactly who it was, but this term Project Bluebeam is not something that you can find like through FOIAs or official documents or leaks or things like that. So what it is the idea that the government had technology, or that they had a plan when they get the technology, and this plan was supposedly from the early 90s, but they would be able to either project a hologram or project something on the night sky, something like this, and they would use this technology to convince people that there was an alien invasion happening. And for another thing, they said they might do different things in different parts of the world. So if it's a place where they don't really talk about aliens and UFOs, they might show, you know, the Virgin Mary in the sky, or they might show Jesus in the sky, or they might show Buddha, or, you know, whoever is going to be an influential figure at that part of the world at that time. Now, that was back in the 90s. And, you know, according to a lot of the people who were talking about this, we should have already seen that. And now we're seeing this fella here, Mr. Guimarin, saying that it's a go. Now, I don't know why he's saying this, but let's look at what he says here. He says they will have to enact a level of censorship and surveillance, as well as military funding, to fight the alien threat, unlike anything we've ever seen. And the alien threat, he is saying, are the government contractors who have access to this alien technology or whatever. So if he's just saying there's no aliens, but this technology. So anyway, let's continue what he says. He says there's advanced. He said there might even be bodies. There's going to be a level of censorship to fight the alien threat, but it's all live. There's no aliens, he says. He says there is an advanced human civilization tech lost to history, like what Nikola Tesla worked on, that has the potential to disrupt the entire order. And basically he's saying that the research is spreading out using the internet. It's getting all over the place. Lots of independent groups are getting access to it. And that's why he says they're going to blue beam the population so that the government can regain access to all this stuff and basically clamp down in a lot of different ways. So it's really a long-winded way of saying kind of that they're going to use aliens very soon to try and shut down advanced technology from spreading, Tesla technology, things like that. You know, we've heard stories like this for a long time, and it became kind of a meme. Like, I don't know if you remember the show, that 70s show, but there was the hippie character, or no, it wasn't really hippie. He was like a rock and roll character, Hyde. He was like, you got this car, man, it runs on water, but the government won't let us. So like he would constantly bring that up. Oh, they got this car, man, that runs on water. But it actually was true. There was a car that ran on water, but there has been a lot of inventions over the years that would have disrupted the infrastructure of or the economic markets in one way or another, that were not allowed to make their way to markets. One example of that famously was Tesla, who when he wanted to build the wireless transmitter and do wireless electricity, well, there's the rumor that it was because J.P. Morgan said, well, where would I put the box? No, they could figure out where to put a box to bill people. That wasn't the thing. The thing was J.P. Morgan was already invested in all the steel, to run the rails, to run the cables, to all the rubber to run to insulate the wires. He had a plan, and it involved running wires all over the country, and he was going to make a lot of money, not only financing that, but selling the wires. He had this whole thing figured out. And he wasn't going to let Tesla's technology come in here and mess this up. So he decided not to fund that. But there's also been, since that time, a lot of the government has been bought and sold by corporations. So where we have these things called regulatory capture, we've talked about this before, but basically a corporation or a group of corporations is large enough that they are able to buy off in so many ways, whether it's be campaign contributions or PACs or, secret, who knows what it is, just straight out bribes. But anyway, they basically get the laws written to support them. So the experts in, say, the pharmaceutical markets are former pharmaceutical people. Well, the former pharmaceutical people work on the FDA, and they write the regulations regulating the drug companies. Well, they are, appointed, the commissioners are appointed by people in Congress. People in Congress are given campaign donations and PAC money by these same corporations. So anyway, what you have is basically the corporations regulating themselves under the guise of the government regulating themselves. Now, in a free market, the regulation would be done in a different way, or people, to where a bad product would fail in the market. But the FDA actually prevents a bad market product from failing in the market. So it kind of just has because of the government has the air of legitimacy when it really doesn't serve the function that it should. But to get right down to it, the corporations then use these regulatory bodies that they've managed to staff and fund the senators and congressmen who write the laws regulating them. They're then able to use that to push other businesses that cannot compete on the level that they can out of business. And sometimes they will even go so far as to recommend things that will hurt their bottom line because they know it will hurt the bottom line of their competition worse. So they will push higher regulatory reforms and things like this, because they know the lower on the totem pole competition can't afford that cost. Well, they eat it for a while, and then they lose the competition, and then they've got the bigger share of the market again. So it really doesn't matter what their cost is. What it matters is that they have the share of market, that they have the control over it. So that's one of the ways that that these alien tech apparently are supposed to be being controlled, is by these contractors. But again, these contractors really, it's a revolving door between the military and the contractors. So to say that, Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin or Bath Iron Works or whatever it may be, has, the government is suddenly going to take this technology back from these guys. It's just kind of crazy, because they all own it together. I mean, the government owns, own the bombs, but Aerojet makes them and knows how. The government doesn't know how. So, whatever it is, it's just kind of a silly thing sounding to me. But who knows? Maybe he's right. I tend to think that the idea that there's no aliens is at all, and nobody's ever seen them. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. There's the Pork Chop Express says, old Jack Burton says, a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this world, but still, we've not really seen the proof yet. So let's get on to the next story. This one we're going to go. No, actually, we're not going to do this one. It's really long. It was a dark thread about the CIA, but we'll do that another time. I won't be up too late. Let's do, got a full day. Had a late day today. Still not quite done working. It's like, starting your own business when, before you have enough business to have enough cash flow to hire people to do the work, you kind of got to wear all the hats yourself. So sometimes that requires doing things you're not good at after hours and taking a lot longer than they should because you're not good at that kind of thing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've still got more to do on it. But let's look at this story. They got a couple stories locally, and these are kind of a big deal. But I'm glad to see that WJHL is actually following these things. But this one, let's see. And I got another one where local independent journalists are doing some work that we're going to tell you about. That's going to be our last story tonight. But we got this one here in Johnson City. The we talked a few months ago about the downtown business owner. I think, what's his name? Sean Williams, is that his name? Who was accused of raping or sexually assaulting several women. And Sean Williams, that was his name. And apparently there was a bunch of sexual assault charges filed on him, but he was never actually charged with anything. So women called and attempted to have charges pressed, and they were never actually filed. And there was also a big thing about they were not testing rape kits and all this other stuff. Well, they had a former federal prosecutor who worked for Johnson City, right? And her name was Kat Dahl. And she was saying,
Sounds like a sitcom.
what's that, Kat Dahl?
Yeah. What was the job?
Well, as I understand it, she was trying to have she worked for Johnson City Press, or Johnson City Police Department. She was trying to have.
Kat Dahl, the journalist?
I'm sorry?
Kat Dahl's the journalist?
No. Kat Dahl is a former federal prosecutor who worked for the Johnson City Police Department. And she was pressing the police department to further investigate several sexual assault allegations against this downtown business owner, Sean Williams. Well, evidently, there was no real investigation done on these things, and that was starting to come out from the whistleblower. What's her name? Kat Dahl. So anyway, the report came out over this study that came from Kat Dahl filing her federal lawsuit, and just give me just a second here. Okay, so they have multiple victims, multiple suspects that are not being looked into. So basically, they did a report overseeing the city from the Department of Justice, and they determined that they didn't do these things right. Here's the way they put it here. They looked at 325 sexual assault cases over a 5-year period, and it concluded that these investigative shortcomings seem to stem from misconceptions and stereotypes about women and victims of sexual assault. So that kind of makes you wonder, is it like a good old boys club that say, oh, she really wanted it? Or, is it like, is that what we got? Or do we have, cops who are like, oh, no, you can't press sexual assault charges on somebody because you decided the next day that you didn't want to do it? Well, I don't know, but they did find this about the Sean Williams guy. In the report, according to the report, in his apartment, the police discovered a list of more than 20 names with the word raped written at the top. So Williams is now in prison facing federal weapons charges, but he was never charged with any sexual assault. And the finding on that was that JCPD's investigations were inconsistent, ineffective, and incomplete. But they never placed blame on anything. Now, you remember when I believe it was the Johnson City Police Commissioner that retired, like, what was it, 2 months ago? You remember we were speculating, or I was saying, what do you think that is? Do you think it has to do with this whistleblower in there? Do you think he's just getting the hell out of the way over that? Do you think he did something wrong? I don't know. But this report definitely shows he was trying to get out. I would say he, right by retiring, was trying to get out of the way of whatever, all the fallout from this. He saw it coming and was trying to get out of there. That'd be my guess. But we don't really know how I mean, the court's still going. There's civil court still going. Lawsuits still going. But definitely the JCPD got some light shown on it, and so they're gonna have to really watch their P's and Q's and make sure they're doing things right, if nothing else. But I guess we'll see what happens with that. But basically, not a good report on the way that Johnson City Police Department is handling sexual assault cases.
Well, this is probably beyond statute of limitations, so I can probably talk about it now. But a long time ago, I was driving in the crestier part of not downtown Johnson City. I guess you call it the industrial side of there, like General Brick and Shell and the Silver Spur. You know?
Oh, by the water heater plant.
Yeah, the the railroad tracks and all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm coming through. The cop pulls me over. All right, nothing spectacular, but I'm genuinely confused because I didn't do anything. And to this day,
Didn't do nothing.
I will stand by the fact that she said I blew a red light, and to this day, I didn't. That's been 20 years ago, given. But to this day, I swear, if there's ever been an injustice in my life as far as police, if there's a reason for me to defund them, it's because I had to do traffic school in Johnson City because I didn't run that red light.
I had to do a traffic school in Johnson City one time with one of the dumbest cops I've ever seen in my life. Who, I was talking with him about, okay, what had happened is somebody in front of me had at a red light in the pouring rain had gone and then suddenly slammed on the brakes in the middle of the intersection, causing several cars to run into them. I was, however, the very last one to hit them, and I got a ticket. I don't know if anybody else got one at all, because I was the last one in the pile. But because the guy in front of me, he's like, "Sorry, man, I gotta tell him you ran me into him. I ain't got no insurance." He just told me straight up. He said, "Sorry, man, I gotta tell him you hit me," and he had already hit the guy in front of him. But anyway, I was talking to the cop, like, is it not like failure to exercise due care or something like that to slam your brakes in the middle of an intersection right after stopping the rain? And then he went on to tell me a story about how there was somebody going too slow on a mountain road that he was driving on. So he pulled in his heavy duty truck with his horse trailer and passed them on a double line. And then when they started riding his ass after that, he slammed on the brakes and caused them to crash into his horse trailer, and was proud of it and bragging about what a badass he was. I was like, yeah, this cop is definitely on the lower end of the IQ spectrum, we'll put it that way. Let's get to their last story of the night. This is from Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News and Alerts. Local citizen journalists, citizen reporters, heroically reporting things that they find, like Scanner Food and Elizabeth and Carter County Public News, like people getting together and creating Facebook groups where they share things like this. This is kind of the future of digital informational agora, we'll call it, because the news media might not be reporting on this stuff. Like the local news media is pretty silent on it, but these guys are out here doing public service, not getting paid anything for it. They're volunteers. But this is Elizabeth and Carter County Priority News and Alerts. Breaking. The attorney on... Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. It's not the right one here. Or is it? Oh, okay. They edited it. So we have what appears to be proof that District 7 Carter County Commissioner Jason Rasnick no longer lives in Carter County and has moved to a Sunset Drive address in Unicoi County and has been living outside the county for months. Is there anyone in Carter County that is aware of this? We ask because he continues to sit on the commission and has been voting in the months since he has apparently moved. Our concern is in the best interest of the citizens of Carter County. In our view, any commissioner who would not be forthcoming about their relocation could certainly not be trusted to make the best decisions for the people. Is the 7th District Commission seat going to be open soon? Tennessee law is giving us the answer. Members shall reside within and be a qualified voter of the district represented. Tennessee Code annotated 5-5-102. They got an update here. The attorney on record representing Mr. Rasnick in his divorce case in Carter County, Attorney Josh Harden, Mr. Hardin is also aware that Miss Rasdick has not lived in Carter County since December, and also a joint no contact order in place, making it so he cannot live in the marital residence in the 7th district. So, dude got kicked out of his house, I guess, from his divorce, had to move to Unicoi. So he's living in Unicoi and still voting as a Carter County commissioner. Now, it sucks for him. I hate that his marriage fell apart and everything. But if these guys make the law and then we're all expected to follow it, they got to fucking follow it too, man. And that means if you're not going to live in the county, then you can't be a county commissioner there. So you should either tell the city attorney, the county attorney, and have them tell you what you need to do, or just get out of there. What's up, Alvin? Yawn, man. Is it 10 p.m.? Yeah, you're late. Better late than never. It's glad to have you with us, Alvin. It's 10:45. We're almost done here. But yeah, so if these people are going to create codes and laws and ordinances that we have to follow, then they should be bound by the Tennessee Code annotated. Now, it sucks for him that his marriage fell apart. I really don't, it sucks that all came out in the light, and that, that's why it would have been best for him to be honest and upfront in the first place, and go to the city attorney, go to his voting constituents and say, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to live here anymore. I either need to step down or I need to find another residence in this district. So, some people might say it's not a big deal, but like I said, to me it is, because we're expected to follow every code, ordinance, and everything that these people write. And if we don't, they'll fine us or put us in jail. But then, while they're writing all these different things, and the county is not as much of a big deal. But if you don't root this kind of stuff out in the county, if you just say, oh, well, it's no big deal, that's how it gets bigger and bigger. And that's how we end up with kind of the state and federal government out of control corruption, out of control power, out of control spending. They should have been giving him an exclusionary grace period to get his butt back to Carter County. I say if he had originally said that, yeah, or maybe they could do that. But, the fact that he never told anybody and was just living in another county and continuing to vote in Carter County, a year to get back to your residency. And I don't think that's unreasonable if he had told everybody and let everybody know. Unibluffer says, I'd love to see one of these politicians that make these tyrannical laws come and try to enforce them mano a mano. Yeah, you're not going to see that happening. It's like, you and what army? This army. Yeah, because I'm not doing it myself. That's pretty much the way they do it. Is, it sucks because they basically control the purse strings of the cops, and the cops are who they're going to use to try to do this stuff. So the cops want to feed their families, so you're going to have certain amounts of them are going to do whatever they're told. And especially when they make a lot of shitty laws, that can be real shitty for a lot of people. So, you definitely won't see, after the county commissioners raise your property tax, they won't be coming around with their hands out, will they? No, they'll send you a letter, and if you don't pay, then they'll send the cops out. But I guess that's all we got for tonight, Tim, unless you want to leave us with something. It's 15 till 11. I am, got another big day tomorrow, man. Lots of 12-hour days lately, so that's a good thing for a new business, so I don't want to complain about it. So I'll probably just get off of here and get a good night's sleep and have another good day tomorrow. Hope y'all do too. Take us out of here, Tim. What you got?
If you've never seen a sand spider, since you're a pest control person, you should look that up sometime. It's I thought it was hilarious the first time I saw it, and I still think it's hilarious every time I see it. But everybody else I've showed it to is mortified. They think it's terrifying. It's a spider, of course, hence the name. Lives in the sand, also hence the name. But since it's sand, it like somersaults forward to travel, so it looks kind of like a Ringling Brother or something, or Buster Keaton coming at you.
Let's see if we can find it.
That's an old reference. I don't know if anybody's ever gonna get that one or not.
Buster Keaton.
Did you ever watch any old Buster Keaton movies?
Not really. I recognize it when I see it, but that's about it.
We went on vacation somewhere. For some reason, one of the channels just played Buster Keaton all night, and I wasn't sleepy or for some reason, so I just watched like 5 of these movies. Basically, like it's kind of like Laurel and Hardy, Three Stooges kind of stuff, but it's pretty funny though. He does a lot of his own like Jackie Chan style stunts and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it was old, so you know it was real and super super dangerous.
Oh yeah, and some of those stunts from Charlie Chan and some of those old from the silent movie era in the 20s and 30s, man, those were some crazy stunts. Is this the guy
Buster Keaton
or the
or
gal?
what?
No, the six-eyed sand spider. Is that what we're talking about? I don't see any spider flipping.
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Look for a spider somersault and see if you can find that. I swear I didn't make this up. There's a spider that travels by flipping through the sand.
There we go. The tumbling spider.
There you go. That sounds right. Of course, they got to show you a picture of the water.
Yep. Don't want YouTube free premium. He's just drunk, falling down the stairs.
Watch him go. Wait for it. Well, I think we're looking at different times, but there he
Yeah.
goes. Oh, flippity doodah.
Oh, he's trying to create a robotic version. Still can't stack up to nature, baby. Try again. Try again.
Looks like he's like made it out of an erector set.
Yeah. Alvin says, make hay while the sun shines. That's what I like to do. Keystone Cops are good from that area, too. Yeah, Keystone Cops. Yeah, those are hilarious. Yeah, it keeps from burning his feet. Good point. Yeah, makes sense. When you got spider stuff to do, you don't want burn ass feet. Well, listen, y'all. Appreciate you, Tim. You were taking us out of here on the sand spider, and I interjected to try to show it to the people. So let's continue taking us out.
The people saw the sand spider in all of its glory. That's all that matters. So y'all just close your eyes tonight and remember God's glory. He created that sand spider just for your amusement. Don't be terrified. It's not after you. It's not
You
a
heard it?
toe-biting sand spider.
You heard it here, folks.
That actually used its momentum to like get its fangs to go deep inside people's boots, and that's why it learned how to do that move. It was like a Van Damme spider.
It learns it uses centrifugal force to whip its fangs in. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you joining us, Alvin. It's all good, brother. Watch us on the replay. Sunday night, we're going to do a recorded film or recorded video on Sunday. We're going to talk about the smart cities and the smart poles in Johnson City and the smart city agenda and how it's coming to Tennessee. It's going to probably be an hour long, and it's going to be me and Dustin. We're going to do some stuff on location and some stuff in the studio. We're going to show you some information. It's going to be very, I hope not boring. We're going to try not to, but Justin and I are like, we both have a kind of a dry sense of humor, so sometimes we can crack ourselves up and everybody else is like, these guys are a couple of fucking dorks. But anyway, appreciate you joining us. We'll see you Sunday. It's going to be, we're going to put the premiere of the video at 10 o'clock Sunday night. That way we can do it as a live and have a chat so everybody can get in there in the chat, or you can watch it later and comment on it. Either way is fine with me, but I hope we see you there. God bless Alvin. Thanks for joining us, Utah Bluffer. Thank you for joining us, Joe. It's always good to have folks in the chat, so gas those geese every time, and we'll see you on Sunday. Have a good night, everybody.